Welcome back to Wise Up TV, where tonight we're here to break down that Tonga squad that is named to play against the Kiwis here in Pac Champs Round 3. It's a massive game. There's a lot to be done. Can Tonga do it? Can they get over the line to win by, I think it's 18 points or some type of margin, which will require them to play a bit risky, but at the same time, you can't do that without building the platform and the structure to get to those point margins. But anyway, let's break this team down for you guys. Here, a few changes, obviously, with a few injuries. The obvious one is Utoi Kumanu with that HIA. Again, there's the argument, should Molo have been Sinbin? Definitely should have been upon reflection. It is what it is. But we're going to talk about that. Injuries in the centres as well. We'll break that down for you. But before we start, hit that like and subscribe to Wise Up TV for all your Pack Chance coverage over the next 2 weeks, as that's time is running out, but it's been fantastic so far, and it's looking like it's going to be a crowd of around 40,000 at Eden Park. No doubt, majority Tongan fans. They'll want their piece to get that one back over towards Samoa by beating the Kiwis, and the Kiwis fans and the Kiwis players will want to get back over them for beating them in 24, which was a classic. I think it was 20-6 at halftime. Kiwis came back with 3 tries, and then Katoa with the drop goal to seal the match. Absolutely awesome. But anyway, let's get into this. The back 5. They stick with Lehigh Hopua there at fullback. Bit quiet game for him. He isn't the most dominating or electric fullback. He can do a very good job. He's reliable. He's safe at times. He might have the 1 or 2 error in him, but under the high ball, he can be a bit suspect, but I'll say he can be okay. But yeah, I think they've stuck with it. I'll go talk in the halves later on about what my argument would have been, but we'll eventually get to that. Sione Katoa didn't have the greatest game. Sione can be better than that. A lot of people arguing actually that Paul Alamoti should have been the guy to go for the wing position. I agreed with that because Paul was so dominant in yardage. He's a very tough player to play against. He's very physical, very hard to put down in his own right, Paul. So, but anyway, we're going to see Paul this Sunday because of Robert Toya's injury. Paul Alamoti comes in the squad. Paul's a very good centre as well in his own right and played wing, obviously, with Penrith. I really like this decision. I think it's going to pay off. I think he was in form throughout the finals and previously. So I think that should be going right. I feel for Robert Toya. You see he got an ankle or something in the game against Samoa. So it's only right that Paul comes in there. And he'll be solid. He'll be a physical presence. He'll be going up against Casey McLean, his teammate. So that edge there'll be some options there because that edge now has a new winger in Seb Chris. They can go and attack that edge a little bit. But we'll have to wait and see with that combination how that goes for Tonga. Then Tolutau Koula on that left-hand side. He's an absolute speed freak, but Tonga haven't been able to access that. I wonder if they'd go to some early shifts on that left-hand side. Can he catch Matty Tomoko on the inside and going in and out? Can he build some pressure with his speed on that outside? They haven't quite used him yet to that level, but he is a weapon if he in open play. Very, very dangerous. Hasn't been unlocked, but let's wait and see what they do. Daniel Tupou, the ever-present veteran, is always there to provide solidity. I thought he was quiet. I mean, the whole back 5 basically got shut down, weren't prepared, energy levels were off. But he's a professional. He should step up. He should provide a lot of that consistency. I wonder if there's a kicking option, an aerial threat, where they go to him against a Jermaine Sako. There's options there. He's pretty good at his finishing, pretty good at his yardage. I'm expecting that whole back 5 to really lift in training, in preparation, and come out with guns blazing. I wouldn't be surprised if they even might score some points with the energy and vibe that they need to bring to this game. But either way, it's a very good, solid back 5 on paper. Let's get them going, and let's see what Tonga have in store for us this week. The halves. Now, a big glaring point was Isaiah Young. He just didn't look natural as a 5'8". There wasn't much options created, and when he did get the ball, he didn't create anything really. He ran for himself at times. He went and tried to claim a try that was clearly a knock on. I don't know why he got up pretending that he scored. It was clear as day. but a really poor performance from him. My argument would have been to actually have him go back to fullback and maybe go with a Lehigh Hopewadi as a 5'8", just a ball, a tip-on guy to an Isaiah Yongi, just a drawn pass, and give Yongi, which he's really strong at, the out-the-back options. And if you work with the Yongi on the left side, where you go Yongi Koula in that shape, there's a lot of potential for a dummy and go for Yongi there, or drawing attention himself. He can tip it on to Koula, and then the outside speed of Koula starts to dominate. That was my argument, but they've gone with Lehigh Hopewadi at fullback and Yongi there. Let's see what he can create. There wasn't much, and if I'm a Tonga fan, I'm a bit concerned that you go from a Tui Lola here, who rightfully needed to go, but you have no creative options so far with a Izzy Katoa to help him out and to create some doubt in the defensive line. But I'm sure that will improve. Back to Saliva Harvili. He's on his way out, in my opinion. He's off to London Broncos, so the quality and service from the hooking position isn't very good right now for Tonga. They haven't got much ruck manipulation. It's very one out. There's not much speed of the ruck at the moment. So that's a position, again, I'll go back to. Wolf is loyal, but then again, he doesn't have much options. So we'll have to wait and see with that one. But again, doesn't look good for Tonga. And even though he's coming up against a Phoenix Crossland replacing a JMK, it kind of nullifies itself, and maybe you could argue that Phoenix is actually quite a little bit better. Both not really out and out hookers, but that's the level of quality that Tonga are missing in that position. Even with a Sonny Luke, who at times his passing options were really, really poor. So that's a real issue for them to get their attack going, in my opinion. Then you got Izzy Katoa, who just had a really poor game, lack of organisation, didn't get people in their spots, had some bad options, had a few errors in him. Kicking game wasn't the greatest. Struggled to get into that game. They'll need a much bigger impact from him. He'll have to lift again. I mentioned in 2024 that he was almost like on his own trying to create everything. He was superhuman in that series to beat the Kiwis and then to nearly beat the Kangaroos. But you just can't provide him with no options in terms of creativity, ball playing. I feel it's a bit of an uphill battle for him. I expect him to lift, though, and no doubt he will, because he's representing his nation and the pride that comes with. But just feels as though that's the organisation and structure. He wasn't getting the team into the right spots last week. Let's see what happens. Maybe Wolf has a discussion. Maybe they come up with a plan to support him in that sense. But if I'm Tonga fan, that's an area I'm really concerned about, because all Izzy Katoa or nothing in terms of creativity right now. So let's have to wait and see what happens there. Then the forward pack. Look, it's a bit of a light forward pack. You replace Itui Kimono with Felice Calvusi, that I didn't really rate. Again, I think Wolf has been a little bit loyal to Felice, but he's in there nonetheless. JT, who was absolute beast in 2024. He is a year older, though. And there's reports about his knee and cartilage, but I expect him to lift. And JT's a legend; he'll no doubt lift. But there is vulnerabilities through that middle of the park that say the Kiwis can attack with a Tapine, with an Aaron Clark, with a Naufahu White. You got Xavier Willison coming through. How long can those older veterans last with an alpha dog and AFB who is consistent, but he can't be a one-man show to kind of create everything for Tonga in terms of yardage. But I'm expecting a bit of a lift there. And Utui Kamanu, he's a great player. But then again, he wasn't super, super dominant like a Payne Haas level or even AFB level. So maybe it nullifies itself, and with JT back in the squad, everything kind of sorts itself out. The edge is Siwa Wong. Decent game, nothing amazing. I know that the injury to Tokomanu, I think it pushed Leka out to start earlier. I think kind of a bit of inconsistency. Hopefully they don't have any HIAs, but Siwa Wong is okay. Nothing amazing again. Ali Katoa for me is that guy that's kind of that creative. You need more from Ali to really generate some attacking structure, and you're looking for Izzy Katoa to use him more effectively. They just went on the same page. He just wasn't getting in his right spots. How they use him in the Storm is absolutely dangerous. Something that they need to work on is that kind of, how to use him, how to feed him, how to get him in the right spots, how to use him, because he is actually a very strong threat, and he can go at that edge on that right side, definitely. But they're just not using him right now, in my opinion. So it's a good 4-pack, but it's an older 4-pack, the starting 4-pack at least. It just doesn't feel like scary to me. It doesn't feel like a Tonga pack where I'm like, I know JT's in there, but it's like it's older JT, body's breaking down a little bit. Eli Katoa, how they're using him, isn't threatening right now. It's Felice Kafusi, you know, I'm not really pumped up by it. I'm not sure about the Tonga fans how they feel about that, but nonetheless, it is the team that they're rolling with. So we have to wait and see how that unfolds. Then you've got the interchange here. Start with Sonny Luke. Again, I thought his service was poor. No real direction from him. That's why people are saying he's New South Wales Cup level. He wasn't getting people in the right spots. The attacking structure when he was on wasn't really clicking. He had a nice little line break though, and that's where his speed of footwork can open up things. A little chip and chase over the top. So there's opportunities there, but it didn't blow me away or didn't, really turn things around for Tonga when he came on. But that might be a little bit different. Leka, we know how great Leka is from a Warriors fan. I'm going to be honest, guys. I think Leka is probably had one of his biggest years this year, no doubt. But I'm thinking he's a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued. Just seeing his output isn't the same as what it was for the Warriors. And that's just off a phenomenal rookie season. And I'm just being honest here that he's just looking a little bit tired and jaded. The performance isn't fully there. And I'm not blaming him because some of the structures aren't the best. But just looking at him energy wise, just doesn't feel like he's giving that punch. Maybe if they can get to Xiii Wong to play a solid 40-50 and you get good 20 minutes out of Leka off the bench, I think that's the best way to go. But in terms of long minutes as a long minute back rower, I just don't feel right now that he's in the best space to be that dominant, that X factor that they need. But then again, everything can change when he's back home in Mount Smart, amongst the Tonga, at Eden Park, amongst the Tonga fan base. He has X factor. He has abilities like Jeremiah Nanai getting that kick out of the air and scoring a try. Leka can do those. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has something. But in his total game, I just feel he's a little bit flat right now. Dimitri, I think he's been solid. I liked his input that he gave against Tor Samoa. He'll just go and he'll be that steadying through the middle type player. He had to do a lot of defensive work, obviously. But again, kind of a rookie, kind of a junior player, not that solid kind of forward impact role when I'm comparing it to an Afahu White to a Dimitri Waimonga. I'm definitely going for an Afahu White. When I compare him to an Aaron Clark, I'm definitely going for an Aaron Clark. So when you go bench for bench, it is a little bit better on the Kiwi side, which is, again, a point to them, but it's not diminishing Dimitri and what he's able to do. I think he'll be solid and consistent. Mo Fotuaika, Mo, I think, had a little bit of impact, not fully, but again, he'll be consistent, I'd say. They need that punch. I mean, you compare it to a Francis Molo, who, for me, I don't rate, but Francis is able to make that impact for Toa Samoa. You need something from a Mo Fotuaika to get you really going. And you need that bench to be hitting and hitting some levels. So, again, I think there's a bit of work to do. I'm not encouraged totally by what Tonga did in that game against Samoa, but I'm looking for some lift. I'm looking for some consistency. I'm looking for something to build off of. If they completely come out and they're flat again, how they were against the tour team, that is alarm bells ringing, and that's concern. They need to look at their whole campaign and really rethink about it. But if they get a lift from that and they get back to what they needed to do, if they can show some structure in terms of grinded out style, punch through the middle, use their outside backs effectively, look, they've got every chance of winning. I'm not saying they'll win by that margin. I don't think they got the ability to keep the Kiwis out for 80 minutes for an 18-point margin. I think that's just going to be too hard for them. They struggle to score 6 points. I'm expecting they'll score maybe 3 or 4 more tries. I don't think they can resist that Kiwis punch through the middle. But we'll break that down tomorrow night for you guys anyway, the match preview of Kiwis versus Tonga. But nonetheless, never underestimate these guys. These guys will be playing for pride. Yes, there's some weaknesses there. I think they need to look at the hooking role moving forward. Don't think Yongi's the right 5'8", and what are the options that they have post this year? Can they find a 5'8"? And can you use a Yongi actually as a fullback where he's actually a genuine threat? And we've seen that what he did with the Eels. A JT, a Felice Kaufusi, getting a little bit long in the tooth. Wolf, how does he regenerate that forward pack a little bit? Those are some questions that need to be answered. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. But anyway, that's their team. We'll see how they go. Going to be a big matchup. Like I said, 40K They're pushing for Eden Park. It's going to be massive. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Hit that like and subscribe and leave us a comment. Do you think Tonga are going to do the job? Do you think they might win but not win by that margin? Do they go expansive and just throw the ball around straight from the bat? What do they need to show for you to convince you as a Tonga fan or as a casual fan, neutral fan, that they are actually a genuine threat? Toa showed something that, man, they got a bit of quality there that they could build around. And as a Kiwis fan, I'm thinking, whoa, this Toa Samoa Kiwis final is looking solid right now. It looks like almost like a little drop off from Tonga, but they got all the chance to prove it. Let me know what you guys think. Stay safe. Have a good rest of your day.